We gotta empty the trailer. So we gotta get an expensive drink. She picked the most expensive drink on the menu. Cost me $9.
Come in, come in. Can you hear me okay? How's the audio? Check, check, check. Can you hear me now? Come in, come in. Can you hear me? Can somebody tell me, is it good? Is the audio good? Hello, hello? Check, check. You didn't see that. Hello, hello, come in, come in. Can you hear me? Do I have audio? Hello, hello? Come in, come in. Anybody, anybody? Check, check, check. Sound check. Can anybody hear me? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Test, test, test. I'll be right back. Can you hear me, Nancy? Is that a yes, you can hear me? Pa? It's hard to put the responses to what I'm saying, so sometimes. Tell me, yes, you can hear me. Hello, hello? Pa, Nancy. The audio is good, thank you. Okay, there's such a delay in your response and my question. Thank you. I was on before, about 2 minutes ago, and nobody was responding. So thank you, Nancy. I keep forgetting to turn off my Bluetooth before I go live. And I think, I'm guessing, educated guess, even if I shut it off after I go live, it won't fix itself. So I have to log off and delete the live stream and then come back on and re-enter the name and upload a new thumbnail and et cetera, et cetera. How are you, Miss Nancy? And Pa, if you're... Don't forget the thumbs up. Are you still there? Where are you in this vast world, Nancy? 4 people. Come in, come in. Sorry about eating while I'm talking, but I'm trying to finish here. Come in, people. Don't be shy. Stop. Talk to me about any military in your life or your family? Or how about nurses, doctors, medicine, medical personnel, scientists? Mike, What's up, Mr. Garrett? What do you mean he dropped out? Why did he drop out? Did he drop out of an airplane? Badoom, psh, that's a joke. Wait. There's Michael Fox and there's Mike Garrett. Okay. Sucks at military, whatever that means. Tahoe. No way. Seriously? California Adventures. Are you a fishing guide there at Tahoe? That's my home state, by the way. San Diego is where I was born and raised. California Adventures. Hoorah. How's the wildfires? Any wildfires in that area? I hope not. Yeah, I used to visit the Sierra Nevadas on a yearly basis, annual basis. I was into rock climbing and mountaineering. All right, Mike. Well, don't forget the thumbs up or the like. The least I can ask. What's going on, Princess? Near Reno. Very good. Yeah, I think I either subscribed to you. Is that probably why my channel popped up with you, California Adventures? Well, Lord, whatever Princess's prayer is, put a hedge of protection around her and have her reach out to you when she's in need instead of trying to do it on her own through her own stinking thinking. Have her rely on you in Jesus' name, amen. Okay. Well, I kind of just did, Princess. Don't be afraid to, wherever you are, close your eyes and say a quiet prayer. You and him, one-on-one. So, fishing guide there out of Tahoe? Green guy. Oh, don't forget the thumbs up, guys. The like, if you would. Jubilin Migracia. Are you Filipina? Thank you, bro. Green guy. Thank you. Noof, so are you. Where are you from, Noof? Let me guess. You're Pakistan or somewhere in the Middle East? That's my guess. California. I'm actually a nurse. No way. So are you using his California Adventures ID? My wife's a nurse. I was a prior paramedic. Yep. Oh, how cool. Isn't California Adventures a guide service? A fishing guide? Arab. Well, I was correct. I mean, you're Arabic in the Middle East somewhere. Jubilin. Yeah, I think you are today. Mustaka. Jubilin. Is your name Grace or Gracia? What country are you in, Noof? Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Arab Emirates, UAE? Where are you? Oh my gosh, that's the professor. That's a first. I've been told Pierce Brosnan before, 007, Bond, James Bond. But not ever the professor on Gilligan's Island. I know the theme song. You want to hear it? This guy made me slybuster, handsome, his whole personality when he was young, and now he's a creepy boomer who lives in the past. Wow, that was quite the greeting, right? When you first come into a live stream. What am I guessing there, green guy? Oh, the country, Nigeria. I'm in the USA, Jubilin. On USA, sorry. How would I say that? Yes, on USA ko. Let's see, in Norway. Yep, you're in Norway. What is that? A little joke. What is the biggest country in the world? Is your mama? Wait, I don't get that. Your mama. Your mama. What does that have to do with country? What is the biggest country in the world? Your mama? I don't get it. Is that like a play on words? Your mama? The name of a country? No. It's close. Okay. But no. So if it's not Norway, then Netherlands. Yeah, I know. What? That's a girl, by the way. Grusha is a girl. Because your mama's lit? Huh? What? Grusha, are you a girl or a guy? No, I know mama means mom. Yeah, okay, Netherlands. Gotcha. Yeah, that was a good guessing game. So, Jubilin, you're a female? Babae or lalaki? Yeah, I figured. I can tell by the way you're typing. The way your last entries were definitely from a male. That wasn't a female way of talking. So, saan ka nakatira sa Pinas? So, what's my goal? Women don't talk like that. Oh, what's my goal in YouTube? Wait, so what's your goal in YouTube? Nothing. Just passing time. Maybe I'll get monetized. What's up, Indian Slay? 8064. Yeah, you will too one day there, buddy. Right? I was your age once. And be nice there, Indian. I'll put you. So why do you have a female name? Are you using your mom's or your somebody's profile, YouTube profile? Do I know the number Google? What do you mean the number Google? What does that mean? You mean the numbers that GOOGLE represents? It's said is the biggest number in the world. Huh? Yeah, that's true. Actually, I don't know why YouTube withheld that comment. I'm looking at it now. It says, "I know, but even sooner." Total, I'm black. Is that okay? I don't know. Is it okay? Are you okay? How do you feel? Yeah, you're using your mom's name. Okay. Where are you? I just asked you in Tagalog. Where are you? Are you in the Philippines or the USA? Ah, there's Jimmy. Hoorah. Really is insolvent. What are you doing, Doc? Blip, 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 studio. Oh, I added one more blip. Total. What's up? Total rain. So are you going to tell me, Jubilin, where are you? Are you in the Philippines or you're in the US or other? Yeah, you too, Jimmy. Oh, everybody, don't forget the thumbs up, if you would. How's the reception? Is it pretty bad? Is it kind of grainy, fuzzy? My cousin, first name Mo, last name Lester. Yeah. Be nice there, or I'll put you on vacation there, P23. Hey, Total, it hit that comment, and I'm glad it did, so. Rocket. Six out of 10. Oh, that's the reception is 6 out of 10. Is that what you're saying? It's kind of laggy. Gotcha. Gabster. No, I'm not in my 40s. Thank you. You know, I wish I could relocate. I could go out in my car. You know what? I think I'm going to. Only because I would rather be clear than laggy. I watched the results of these live streams in Starbucks, and it's not 100%. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm gonna shut the power down. Shouldn't do anything to the reception here. Hold on a second. Not bad. It kind of jumps back and stays consistent to pay attention. Is that good, Rocket? I think I'm going to go out in my car just because it'll be a little cooler in the car. Although it's cool in here, it's just I know the results here in Starbucks, so I think I'm gonna correct it. And I'm gonna have to nix my coffee and head out there. Stand by. And my water. I think I'll take my water with me. I'm starting to build up water cups in my car from Starbucks. Tell me what the reception does when I'm outside. Well, thanks for the feedback there, Rocket, and a little more specific on the clarity of the video. How is it when I'm in the car? It's 9 out of 10 now, so I got a little better. How is it here? Now I'm in the car. Let me know what it does here. Hold on. This holder that I installed is not quite in the position that I want it in, but I don't really have a choice. It's on this the dash. There's the heads-up display or the monitor, the strip, the rubber, from the dash. It's mounted on that rubber molding, and the mount can slide to the right and to the left, all the way over here next to the steering wheel. So it almost centers me, but I can't drive with it in this position. It's right next to my hand. So a little diminished, you said, but doable. Okay. Let me, hold on. I think this air conditioner is gonna carry over to the microphone. Maybe not. There we go. Okay. What's YouTube withholding here? You will become Section 8 for the rest of your life. Well, that's not too, that's not a bad comment, but YouTube's withholding it for some reason. Coming in better now, grain is out. 10 out of 10. Good to go. Hey, Jimmy, how old are you? I think I asked before. I asked you before. You're older than me, I think. You're from the 80s, the Beirut era, the Berlin Wall, weren't you? Yeah. 67. Yeah, you're my elder brother's age. What do you mean maybe? Oh, Indian is guessing 67. Oh, okay. Yeah, 1958. My brother's 59. Okay, you did tell me. All right. Well, Jimmy, I'm gonna add you because you're good to go, and I know your background, and you can help me. You're going to notice a change in your color, or you're going to have a little blue dot next to your name when you comment. Do me a favor. Here's the drill. You're a moderator now, all right? Don't get rid of everybody, just because they're giving me a hard time. But if they start saying things, that are inappropriate, calling names, sexual connotations, things that are illegal, inappropriate, yada, 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 then you can, delete their message or do what you want. But the key is to keep them in the room. The more people, the longer you can keep more people in the room, the better it is for my channel, for the algorithm, et cetera, et cetera. Get it? Gotcha. As you were. Yeah. So, or you can ask me, should I get rid of this guy, Doc? Because I can handle that as well. And sometimes you can reel them in, and calm them down and get them to actually have a conversation with you. But if they're just here to be a troll and cause problems, then get rid of them. So, cool. Soft-handed hippie. Oh, wait, I like these. I like the sensitive band's humor, but he doesn't understand what being subject mean. A soft-handed hippie. I like that. I think you're revealing your age there, Wag, or C-Dub. Good. Thank you. I'm not a rookie. Gosh, my brother, that's a big word my brother uses. Rookie. Subjective. Okay, being subjective. Okay. No. Jimmy White will educate you on the term doc. He'll let you know why I use that name, where that comes from. Oh, doctor, please don't be a psychiatrist. Yeah, I agree. Been there, had an appointment with one at one point in my life, and I was challenging him the whole time. He was asking me questions, and he knew it. And then at the very end, I said, "So what do you think?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "So what's your diagnosis?" He kind of smiled. He's writing on his paper. He says, "Well, here's what I came up with. And he reads out his medical terminology for it. And I just smiled, said, you know, nice talking with you, bro. And I never went back. I think he knew as well as I that there was nothing he was saying that was helping me. All right, Solar. Thank you. Yes, sir, Indian. Who else would I vote for? It's like, really? Was there really a choice? A big choice? And praise God I did. There you go. Read Jimmy's, there's your answer, Indian. United States Navy Corpsmen, medical personnel responsible for many fronts, combat Marines. Sorry, I hit the mic. We are the Marine Corps' medical support. The Marines don't have their own medical support like the Army does, the Air Force. Okay? It's always been that way since George Washington. The Navy is technically over the Marines as far as jurisdiction. The Marines don't like to admit that, but that's the structure. The Marines work for the Navy. So anyhow, therefore, their medical support is the medical corps of the United States Navy. And the nomenclature, I guess that's a good word, for the medic is doc. Whether you're a doctor or not, it's just a name. If they want our attention, they'll yell doc, and anybody in the Navy Corps will turn around. Instead of yelling medic, they yell doc. Yeah, I know. Exactly, Wag. That's who you voted for. Yep, United States Marine Corps, Department of the Navy. You know, praise God for all the branches of the military. When I was over in Iraq with the Marines, I learned, I saw the big picture for the very first time. I saw the cogwheels, in motion. And it was simply amazing. It was just, everybody was there for the same reason that I was. I mean, not my job, but as far as the support. They all had their job, but they were there with the same two priorities that I was there for, and that was to do my job, to do it well, and to get home. And that's what it was all about. And so whether you're Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, that's the priority, is just doing your job, getting the mission done, and then get home. And that's what they train you for. That's the whole mission of the military. Get us home safe. Hoorah, 9, what is that? 9 a.m., 9 a.m. I think that's what that is. Are you really in Vietnam? The only time I saw Indians over in Iraq was at the galley, at the restaurant. And there was a couple of kiosks that they had set up at Al Assad base, restaurant. The waiters at the galley, in the Navy they call it the galley. At the cafeteria there at Al Assad base, the waiters, they had red napkins over their arm, and they were Indians. Yep. But not out on the ground. I didn't see any. I don't remember. No. Unless one of the Marines were, of Indian heritage, but not specifically from India. No. Oh, okay. You were deployed in Vietnam. Are you living in Vietnam? And are you Vietnamese, or you're American living over in Vietnam? Here's my play on war. There's going to be times when the president, and those under him don't make, the 100% right decision, but they made the decision, and nonetheless, and because of that, the troops are deployed, and most of the time, in my instance, I volunteered for that. That's what I signed up for. I signed up for the possibility that they may be sending us when we don't need to be there. So, who's the responsibility on? That's me. I'm the one that put my signature on the dotted line. So if they're making a mistake and sending us over there, that's what I signed up for. And it doesn't matter. It's like I have a job, and I told you before, my job is to do my job the best of my ability, and their other responsibility is to get us home. Whether we're there because we're supposed to be or not. The only people that have things to say about that are usually those that aren't in the service. It's the civilians out there watching us. Oh, they're killing our boys. We shouldn't be there. I signed up for that, ma'am, sir, ma'am. So, that's right. Hoorah, Jimmy. I tell people I should be if I was a recruiter, that would be one of the first things I would tell all the kids coming in the door. Well, not all of them are kids, like my instance. I'll tell my story if you haven't heard it already. But one of the first things I would say is, remember, if you're going to decide to do this, your signature is going to be on that dotted line, whether the president is right about it or is wrong about it. So just know that before we begin. You're the one volunteering that our government may be making the wrong decision. So, I hope that, whatever. Everybody has their opinion about whether we should be there or not. And it's an opinion. It's, here's a little way of thinking about it there, Wag. How do I know that God didn't orchestrate Cheney to have that war so that those during that war could hear the gospel, to hear his word before they take their last breath on the battlefield or after the war? One of the biggest theaters for evangelism is wartime. During war, especially after war, the gospel, the good news, God's word is spread everywhere. It happened in Germany, it happened in World War I, happened in the Civil War, happened in World War II, happening today. How many military ministries were over there, Jimmy, when you were over in Iraq? See what I mean? So, we can say, he should be, held for his actions and yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, one person may have heard the gospel before they took their last breath and decided to commit their life to Christ before, they spent an eternity in a place they wish they never did. Right? So a little different view on war. I was just looking at a 2-part video I have on Vimeo from way back. It's basically, it's a preaching in San Diego that I attended, I listened to, and I got the CD afterwards. They recorded it, and I took the CD and dubbed it, or made a like a slideshow presentation, a video. It's more like a PowerPoint presentation. Pictures to depict the audio in the background, and it's on Colonel Ryberg. He's a retired colonel in the United States Marines, and he's got a military ministry over it, during war and peacetime. And he talks about that very thing that I mentioned. That war has always been one of the largest sharing the gospel and spreading the good news. Nine foot is taller. Yeah, not too many people live when they're that tall. Not for very long. Look at the tallest man in the world, right? Robert Wadlow. What was he? 8 feet 11? He died at 22 years old. 22? He died of an infection related to, I think, a brace that he had on his ankle. They suffer from megaly, meaning enlargement of organs and body parts. And you can look that up. The larger a person gets, it's just the gravity doesn't allow the body, the organs to keep up in order to keep that person alive. And they suffer from megaly of the hands, of the head, the arms, the feet, everything, the heart, cardiomegaly. Yeah. Those with overactive thyroid or pituitary glands, that's what it is. Uncontrolled pituitary gland, and their growth hormone, it goes out the roof, and they end up dying, at a relatively early age. Now we're on. Hey, I got the sun kind of coming in, don't I? Let me tone that down. It's kind of causing a reflection on my end. So the audio's good and the video's hanging in there. It's doing all right. Oh, there we go. I can see it a little better. I think it might have been just on my end, but there we go. I got the sunscreen up. So thanks everybody for stopping in and giving me the thumbs up, the like, whatever else you want to do, subscribe, etc., comment. So Indian Slay, sorry, where are you? Did you ever say? Oh, my God is Lord Shiva, but has happened to live with my Christian brother. Oh, okay. Brothers in India, but not with Muslim. Okay. Stop, C-Dub. Be nice. I don't know why I'm laughing. The Lebanon died most violently in the later reign of King David around 3,500 years ago. Okay, wait. Yeah, it was like David and Goliath. Goliath was just a giant. He was just a large man What was, I think I remember watching a video, they were trying to guesstimate, about how tall he was. Don't quote me on this, but he was just like a 6+ footer, 6'9" or something like that. Mohammed, one life advice. Sure. If you don't know the truth, find it. Before you take your last breath. Don't wait. If somebody else knows the truth and can share it with you, then listen to them. That's my advice. Number one, very first. The truth isn't a something, it's a someone. So if somebody knows that someone that lays claim to he is the truth, then lend an ear and listen. That's my advice. Right? There's one person that lays claim to knowing everything and cannot be wrong about anything he knows. That's the truth, right? The truth is something that is right about everything and can't be wrong. Right? Well, there's one person in history that lays claim to that title. If you don't know him, get to know him. Last I checked, social is what you Americans need from rest of the world factoid. The average American males enlisted in the armed forces in World War II was about 5'6". Okay. Wait, is that Rommel? You mean the German? Is that his real name? Johannes Erwin? Eugene Rommel? Cristo. Oh wait, Querido? Querido. Sorry. Oh, the Desert Fox. Yeah, it is Rommel. Why'd you retract that? That's okay. I understand. Ah, this thing does adjust a little bit. Now, what the heck? Is it do that and I just didn't realize it? Wait a minute. Gosh, I just maneuvered my mount even further. I didn't know it went any further. Okay. What? C-Dub, where are you from? Or did you say already? An ex-Army officer. Well, I wasn't in the Army, but I was a enlisted officer, not a commissioned officer. Those are the important people, the enlisted officers. Georgia. Atlanta. Very good. Gotcha. I'm originally from San Diego, California, and life events Iraq brought me back here to the East Coast. My wife's family is here in New Jersey, so the squeaky wheel finally got the grease and I decided to stay back here. 2014 officially is when we found our house and signed the papers, to purchase a home. But I got here, I arrived in New Jersey when I got home from Iraq, 2005, April 2005. Did I like Iraq? Well, it was a good experience. As far as where I lived, my living conditions, no. That I was in a 1/8 mile circle on the map next to the Euphrates River for 7 months, no. That they were lobbing mortars and rockets at us, every other day for 210 days, no. Would I like to work as a paramedic or as a Navy corpsman In that condition, no. But I had some, memorable experiences, just some, campfire stories that I can tell now that are fun to talk about. But at the time, I just wanted to get home. It was, I had a job to do and I had no choice, so I had to do it in that condition. And then it was, I'm looking at the calendar every day, how many days do you got? How much more? Or you forget about the calendar at first, and then eventually you're wondering how close you are, till you're going home. Patricia, there you are, you're back. I'm good. And yourself. Have I ever saved a life? That's a good question. Give you a little bit of insight on that expression, saved a life. I don't work now, David. I'm retired. So yes, I like my work. I go bass fishing in my sit-on-top kayak, looking for the 5+ pounders. So yeah, I love that work. So let me tell you about saved a life, quote, saved a life, unquote. Okay? Al Rashid Street, no. Dried grape juice, no. But I had the Iraqi dates and yogurt. Oh, and the what's the little flower that they drink in their coffee? Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, no. They were real big on that. What is that little white flower they put in their coffee? The heck is that? Now the hobis was fabulous. I might not be pronouncing that exactly, with the right accent, but don't look like you're retarded. What great escape. Wait, I can show. That's kind of funny. Doc's fishing and doing what he does. Yeah, see the fishing travel folder. What do you call it? Playlist. Yeah, what's the name? Cardamom. In American, it's cardamom. Or in English, in American. In English, it's cardamom, the cardamom flower. No gold or oil. Let me tell you about saving a life. Let me get back to that real quick, okay? And this isn't just military. This is before military as a paramedic, okay? By the way, a paramedic is advanced life support, okay? Advanced cardiac life support specifically, ACLS, all right? They're trained to to an advanced level compared to a basic EMT or an emergency medical technician. I was an emergency medical technician, but I was an EMT-P for paramedic, okay? Basic EMTs are basic life support, or BLS, okay? They learn about, how to apply bandages, how to apply pressure, how to treat for shock, yada, yada, yada. All right, but they don't start IVs, they don't push medications, they don't defibrillate. In other words, they don't administer electricity into somebody's, body. They don't intubate. They don't put a tube into a person's trachea for non-breathing patients, et cetera, okay? So from a paramedic standpoint, the media will portray us as lifesavers, right? You hear that all the time. In Hollywood, on the news, et cetera. People say it, all right? In my nearly 20 years of being in emergency medicine, pre-hospital, gosh, I'm burping. Pre-hospital emergency medicine, how many times did I actually save somebody's life, quote unquote? I'll bet you I could count it on one hand. I'm trying to think right now, and I'm not even able to think of 5, but I'll bet you in that 20 years, there was there was, okay, let's just, for the benefit of the doubt, say that there was no more than 10 people in 20 years Think about that. It's very rare that you actually save somebody's life, meaning they're dying or they're dead, or they don't have they're not breathing, they don't have a heartbeat, and you actually bring that back and they survive it and actually go home, and live a productive life. No. Doesn't happen, guys. People die because that's what people do. People die much more than the opposite. Just doesn't happen. Not often at all. All right? Now, how many times did I make a difference? I made a difference for 20 years. See the difference? Big difference. So the next time you're watching a movie, or the next time you hear the media talking about, or next time you see a reality TV program, remember the magic of editing does wonders. They farm out, they vet all the calls where nothing happens. And they only produce or edit in, calls that are exciting. Make sense? Were you having a respiratory emergency with an allergic reaction or something? CWAG, or what was your issue? Thanks, Jimmy, for your help, by the way. Yeah, you see, we're trained to, again, in advanced cardiac life support, and that's essential most of the time when we're actually using the whole gamut of our training and our drug protocols is in a cardiac arrest, all right, where somebody is either stopped breathing, their heart is irregular, or in an emergency, or both. And then we arrive and we're trying to reverse that, right? Or help that. Well, most of the time when that happens, people are dying, meaning they're at the end of their life and they're dying. It's not, it's not a like unusual thing for that to occur. So now we're there trying to reverse that. It's like, well, that's sometimes the way, not sometimes, that's the way life ends. And we're trying to prevent that. So most of the time, like I said, we're not doing anything for him or her. We just go through the motions. That's why they have the expression practicing medicine. Well, we're literally doing that. We're just practicing. We're just going through our motions, and it's a rush for me, to defibrillate and start IVs and push medications and intubate, putting tubes in people's trachea and breathing for them and all that, and watching them starting to improve, but then they deteriorate, and then we push another medication and we defibrillate another time, and we keep ventilating for them, breathing for them. And then they get to the hospital and they continue the process, and most of the time, the doctor calls it after a certain amount of time and says, stop, guys, that's, we've done everything we can. So, we're just practicing on that person. I'm sorry if I missed a bunch of your comments. It's hard to read and tell stories at the same time, but I'll try to scroll back and read. Let's see here. Once he was, I saved a really old dude's life once. He was pissed. What, was that an overdose? And you brought him back and he was upset because you ruined his high? I'll talk about that in a minute. You were stung by a bee. Yeah. Now see, those instances, those are critical. You can literally die from an anaphylactic reaction. But most of the time, it's an allergic reaction, and it's not critical, but in order to help the symptoms and to keep you comfortable, you need an epinephrine shot, or maybe you just need a Benadryl, to take some oral Benadryl and take some Motrin. That's the typical combo, over-the-counter combination that you can take when you're having a mild allergic reaction. Benadryl stops the allergic reaction, and Motrin is an anti-inflammatory. It stops the swelling that occurs from an allergic reaction. And that might just be all it takes. It's just a Motrin and some Benadryl. You end up going to sleep because Benadryl puts you to sleep, or it makes you drowsy. But a true anaphylactic reaction, something needs to be done for that person. In those 20 years, true anaphylaxis, I don't think I've ever treated one. I've seen it. I watched a guy die. Yep, he was 45, 48 years old. Actually, I don't know if that's what was killing him. But he went into respiratory arrest, and I watched him die. The whole team was working on him, and I was in the background watching him turn blue and literally dying in front of everybody. And the doctor was like doing everything he could. But his airway shut down. His airway shut down in his lungs. Meaning you could put a tube down his trachea and try to breathe. That's what they were doing. They were trying to breathe, and there was resistance. You couldn't even squeeze the bag because the airway was just closed. He turned blue. It was wild. He was awake in distress when he came into the emergency room. That was one of the more profound, that just doesn't happen that often. I don't know if he was having an allergic reaction, but whatever it was, it killed him. Oh, Patricia, sorry. Let me go back here. When I tried to unalive myself to be with my son and daughter, they say I had no pulse when I was found 6 days in a coma, 2 weeks hospital. When you say unalive myself, oh, okay, so that was a word you use so they don't ding your comment and hide it. Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, you're on a 5150 hold, meaning a psychiatric hold for harming yourself. Yeah. Well, what a story, Patricia. I'm glad you're alive to tell that. You never know who's reading and identifying with you. Mohammed, I'm 27. I think there's a point in everyone's life when a person dies before his death. I lost my father 4 years ago, brother 2 months ago. Yeah, how do you overcome it? I could give you some advice, is get to know the truth, bro, Mohammed. Remember, was it you that asked that question? Give one life advice. The truth can make you free from all that. All right? The truth is not a something, it's a someone. It's somebody that knows everything and can't be wrong about anything he knows. Right? That's what truth is. Otherwise, if it's not the truth, it's false. So, who knows the absolute truth? Well, it's the person that created us, right? He knows everything and created the universe. He can't be wrong about anything he knows. There's one person that lays claim to that title. Get to know him, and he'll set you free from that. It looks like USS Liberty, Iran. Oh, you're back. Sorry. Dan, you must be on a keyboard, dude. You're like writing a short story. Can you show me America from your window? Sure. Let me unplug the power cord here and step outside here real quick. This is kind of a suburban, not too populated, at least this general area. I'm in the middle of the woods. They're pine and oak and maple forest, with Starbucks and the haircut store over there and a restaurant on the end and the hospital behind me. I'll go outside and I'll show you. Okay. So there's Starbucks. My haircut store is over there. Great Clips, right over there. Looks like a liquor store here, some kind of a salad restaurant. Something in the background. Sunrise Plaza is the name of it. The hospital's over here where this traffic's coming through the woods. Right over here, there's the hospital over there in the trees over there. Oh, there's the, zoom in for you. There's the hospital sign, Atlanticare Emergency, right over there. And that's the forest that I'm talking about. Let me zoom back here. Gotcha. This is East Coast America, about 10 miles off the Atlantic Ocean. How's that? This is people coming home from work. Got it? And the intersection. There you go. Cool. Starbucks over there. That's where I just was. And the car I'm driving here. Okay. A little tour of the town that I live in, at least one intersection of the town I live in. How's that? Is that cool? Yeah, so nice and scenic. Well, it's mostly this. It's all covered by forest everywhere. Back in, when the country was first being established 250 years ago, I'm sure can you imagine? I always am impressed, like, how did the people even get through these woods? When they came off the water and they started moving in and establishing themselves, how did they even get their carts or their wagons or whatever they were pulling through this stuff? And they did it through the water, I guess. They had it on, they moved things on the water, and then they went off the water and they had, they accessed inland via water because they can't get through this stuff. And, not with the technology they had then. Malawi. Are you really in Malawi? Marawi. Is that Malawi? No, okay, Malawi is not Marawi. That's Philippines. Okay, I'm seeing your flag right now, so I just got corrected. It's like, I don't know where Malawi is. Is that in Africa? I'm guessing. Go ahead, Lucas. It is. It's relatively quiet, and the locals would say this is congestion, but, I know congestion. And being from foreign countries like India, Thailand, Philippines, and other countries, this is nothing compared to the congestion in those cities, big cities. Your crush just asked me out. I don't know what to do. She's the hottest girl in my school, and I'm too scared to talk to her. Gosh, dude, if that's true, that was me. How old are you, Lucas? I'm telling you, growing up is first for boys. I had no self-confidence. And then again, you're 15. Well, here, let me give you some advice. Don't be dealing with that kind of stuff at 15. I mean, having a girl being attracted to you is great. And if you want to show her back that you're attracted to her too, then great. But leave it at that. Ask your parents. Yeah, don't get involved in what girls and boys do with each other. That's my advice. Fix my wig? Are you talking about me? You don't think that's real hair? Hello? That's a nice haircut, thank you very much, if you ask me. That was the great clips that I just showed you over there. We got a homeless person. Well, you know the drill better than I do. They're synchronized. As far as what you got to do, to stay alive. You know what I did when I was living out of my car there for a little while? Between jobs and divorced and trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I would rely on churches a lot. Go to churches and meet with the pastor and just tell him your story. Use your resources. I mean, you have no choice but to do it. Put your pride in your back pocket, as you know, and use your resources. Homeless shelters, churches, do what you got to do. Here, example. I'm not a Mormon, but there was a Mormon church in a area that I was just beginning a job. I was living out of my truck, but I was working as a paramedic in Central California. And, I had to ask my employer, to stay in the quarters, the EMT paramedic quarters that he had provided for us. If I could stay there, like live there, until I got an apartment, until I got my first couple paychecks. And then on Sunday, there was a church down locally. I found, on the maps, and I went down there. It was a Mormon church, but I didn't care. It was a church nonetheless. So I went in there, went through the service, hung out, listened, and then afterwards I went up and asked the elders, or whatever they call them, the guys of the church, and I introduced myself. I was a little older at the time, probably my late 30s. Trying to think of how old was I? Yeah, late 30s. And I just told them, this who I am and what I was going through. And I asked them, do you have any place that I can hang out or stay for a couple weeks? And they got to know me a little bit right there after the service, asked me some questions, some pertinent questions. And then the one guy looked at the other and he says, I got a property on about 3 acres up at, and he named the intersection. And he said, I'm renting it out, but there's nobody in it right now. He thought about it. He goes, how long do you want to stay? I said, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe at the most. He goes, yeah, I could do that for you. He gave me his house. It was a ranch house. He turned on the electricity, turned on the power, made sure everything was working, and he gave me the keys. And I stayed there for 2 weeks. I camped out on the carpet in his living room with my sleeping bag and my cooler I brought in. The refrigerator was even working, and the gas stove. I had a full house all by myself. I didn't even use it. I just hung out in the living room, camped out in the living room, used it for 2 weeks. Praise God for a church that opened up the doors for me. Right? Hoorah, Jim. I thought Doc was like a retired Fulbright colonel. Just an HM2, bro. I was just a second-class petty officer with a little unique story. I already told you how I got in the Navy, and I'll tell the rest of them. In a nutshell, I was 37 when I joined the United States Navy. I brought my civilian paramedic license into a recruiter's office, and they brought me in as an HM3, or a third-class hospitalman. HM is hospitalman. That's a corpsman. And because of the training I already have, they didn't have to send me to school. I already had that training. So the only requirements I had to meet was boot camp. So I went to boot camp at 37 years old, and basic military requirements. And that's just a book, that you have to read and get tested on. And some of it was medical knowledge. And I already knew medical knowledge. So that was kind of easy for me. But it was just, they had to do what they had to do. And in order to bring me in and, dot all the I's and cross all the T's, to officially bring me into the United States military. So that's how I joined the service. And I signed an 8-year contract from 1999 to 2007. I was 37 when I joined. I was 45 when I got out. 2007. 2004, 2005, I ended up in Iraq with the 123 Marines, providing medical support over there at FOB Heat, Al Anbar province there in Iraq. FOB is a forward operating base. Little 1/8 mile circle on the map. And that was my home for 7 months. And then I let my contract expire after 8 years. I wanted to stay 20, but unfortunately Afghanistan was kicking off, and the rumor was that I was probably going to get deployed to Afghanistan. And that kind of scared me, and I said, no, I can't be doing that. I can't do this again to my family, to my new wife and my new child that I had a month after I got home. He's now 21. He was born 2005. I got home April 2005. He was born May 2005. So, I would have been able to hold my own with those guys, the Marines over in Afghanistan, but no, it was time for me to, thank you very much, United States Navy. It was Mr. Toad's wild ride. At least the end was. My time, I was a reservist. So in my reserve duty, experience was uneventful. It was actually quite boring. Compared to being a paramedic in the civilian world, I was running calls and running around with my lights and sirens on a daily basis in the civilian world. On the base, there in Point Mugu, California, Naval Air Station, or as somebody corrected me earlier, Ventura County, Naval Air Station, whatever. My time there was literally just doing nothing. We were just doing drills and practicing, giving lectures to each other or others, continuing education, occasionally doing a physical exam or helping to do a physical exam with the doc, that was our commanding officer or our officer in charge. And they would educate us sometimes, give us a class, It was just a Saturday, Sunday requirement in the reserves. My wife would be waiting in the hotel, when I'd get home or get off work. And then I'd do it again on Sunday. And then after work, my wife and I would drive home. And I would resume my civilian job once I got home. Thanks, Patricia. Your hair looks fine. San Diego originally. I'm in New Jersey. I'm gonna light your ass up. I experienced that throughout my medical career when I first joined, became an EMT, I was older. So when I would go into a job, everybody's like, uh-oh, who's this guy? He's got experience. And I had the young guys, younger people, coming up to me a lot. And I would tell them, hey guys, I'm as green as you. I'm just older. So that was my own doing, getting into something later on in life. My age automatically, gave them the impression that I was, higher or more experienced. When I was in Iraq, I'm just second class there. I had, third class land corporals and corporals, coming up to me and really just kind of leaning on me for like advice. And I could, because I was their dad's age. Well, I don't know if I was their dad's age, but I was older. But as far as rank, and experience, those guys had more experience than I did. Some of them. And they're only in their 20s. And here I was 42 in Iraq. I only had 5 years in the military. 37 plus 5 is 42. So I only had 5 years experience. Some of these guys have been in there since they were 18. And now they're 23, 24. They got more experience than I do. And I'm nearly 20 years older than they are. So yeah, no, I didn't have my scrambled eggs on my cover. No. Let me keep going here. I'm way back in comments here. Urab, T.O. God is good. Thank God for the military. How high am I right now? I'm about 10 feet above sea level. I'm at sea level here in New Jersey. What's your favorite Iraqi food? They made me some at the very end. It was hobis, kind of broken up in pieces, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a naan bread, the same in India. It's a flat bread. And it was potatoes, and it was like a bowl full of just good. It was like a stew with pieces of hobis kind of torn up in it. It was like a mishmash of it was like a stew or a soup or something. Why are there always Navy medics with the Marines? There, Patricia. Good question. We provide medical support for them. If it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have any medical support. You know that historic photo of the guys raising the flag at Iwo Jima? How many were there? 4, 5? One of them was a Navy corpsman. They say the Marines raising that flag. Well, they were, but one of them was a Navy corpsman. So they weren't all Marines. Most of, on Jimmy's point, most of the guys are trained in basic life support, bandaging, hemorrhaging, hemorrhage control, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a advanced first aid. But, so they have their FACs. That's their first aid kit. AFACs, right? Isn't that what they are? AFACs? IFACs. It's just a kit they carry on their belt, or their gear. It's a first aid kit, FAK, first aid kit, FAC. So, they're trained to administer aid. So we're not the only ones, providing the support as far as first aid, but we can help out with the organization and taking a responsibility off their hands so they can get downrange and do what they like to do best and surround me so I don't get shot at. Next country I would like to visit. Well, I'd like to go back to Nepal. I visited Nepal, Kathmandu in 1986. Oh, there goes my car. It died after, how long does it take? 15 minutes in idle, and then it dies. Another country I'd like to, I'm kind of a traveling, in my head, I always like to travel. I'd like to, I've always had a desire to like get on a scooter or a motorcycle and tour the Philippines. I've been there already multiple times, but I have this desire to kind of island hop and just cruise around and visit all the people, people I've met online, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't been to so many places. I'd like to go to my home country, my heritage, which is Scotland, just to say that I did it, so I can see where where my heritage came from. Apparently, I still have some family that lives there. Austria, Germany. I'd do Europe, and see I'm an outdoor person, so I was in rock climbing and mountaineering for 30 plus years. And so that's an attraction, seeing the mountain ranges that I've always heard about. The Jufrung, what's the name of the mountains in Germany, and the Alps and all of that. There's so many places in America that I haven't been to. People tend to forget, they're here in the USA, and if you've never traveled the USA, I mean from East Coast to West Coast, the northern route or the southern route or in between route, I recommend doing that. It is unbelievable. The sights, the different sights, the scenery is just jaw-dropping here in America. And yet Americans always want to go out, to foreign countries. It's like there's so much America. And I've had the opportunity to drive from New Jersey to California to pick up cars or to move cars when I moved 5 times. 5 times I've been from the East Coast to the West Coast and back. Well, that's a total of 5. I've done it twice, that's 4. And then I did one trip, when was it? I was trying to remember. I did an extra trip, which made it 5. However that works. And it's amazing. The different geography, the different topography, that you encounter along the ways, things you never knew that were there. Whoa, where did these mountains come from? Whoa, what's this canyon? What's this river? Where'd that waterfall come from? For $1 million? There you go. Come to India. I got a good motorcycle. Let's see. Are you famous? Totally, dude. You're not from California, are you? Oh, wait. Why is this thing loose like that? Whoa, this thing kind of came out of the groove. Well, that's kind of weird. I'm not going to play with it. I'm just going to... Whoa, wait a minute. Kind of came out of the track. Forgive me again if I've missed somebody's question. Or have I been to Dumaguete? I went to Sibulan Port, right there, just 20 minutes from Dumaguete. I was traveling from Manila down to Cebu. And so we traveled by trains, planes, and automobiles. No trains, but you get the gist. Took the Ceres bus from Bacolod, Negros Occidental, down to Sibulan Port, which is just shy of Dumaguete, and we were going across the strait to Santander, Cebu. So I never got to go into Dumaguete, but that was on the map, heading towards Dumaguete from Bacolod.
We did a stopover in Cabancalan, Negros Occidental. And then we got off at the Cabancalan Ceres bus terminal, and we got the ticket for reboarding the next morning. We stayed in an Airbnb overnight and then ate breakfast, and then we got back on the bus and we continued the last 3 hours down to Sibulan Port. You've probably heard of it if you're from that area. I'm actually scrolling back and seeing some of these posts that I missed. Oh wait, totally dude, did you say you're from California? Oh, Patricia, I've always wanted to visit Ireland. Okay, I read that one. Let me catch up here. Our favorite Iraqi food, I already read that. You better not miss any of my comments, or I want an apology. So answer me, dude, are you in California or from California? Because that expression is definitely California, Southern California. Totally, dude. Maybe who wants to know? Are you CIA? No, dude, it's called conversations. It's called chat. Dude. Okay. Nick I have no idea who that is. Wait a minute. Why come I can't oh, there it goes. Oh my gosh, that's close. There we go. Sydney. Wayne. What's up, brother? I could be a totally narc, dude. No, I used to treat narcotic overdoses. Yeah, when I zoomed in, get out of my face, bro. Kingman, no way. What? My dad lived in Kingman. I'm sorry, he didn't live there. Kingman's down at the bottom, down there by the casino, at the border of Lake Nevada. My dad lived in Golden Hills, Arizona, and take the highway, the high desert highway, and then drop down to Kingman. Yeah, I know Kingman. No, dude. I can't. I was prior paramedic. First I was an EMT basic and then a paramedic 4 years later. New Jersey, Wayne. How about you? Golden Valley. Did I say Golden Hills? Golden Valley. Sorry. Yep. My dad died in 2017, but when his last residence was there in Golden Valley, and then he was by himself, his wife died, and a sequence of events, we had to kind of go and rescue him, my brother and I. So I flew out from New Jersey, where I'm at now, and helped my brother drive out to Arizona and get my dad and move him back to San Diego. Hoorah, Jeff. I'm going to call you Jeff, JF. Sydney, Australia. Let's see. It's, what time is it there? It's about 15 hours from me. 6:59 to 7, about like 10 o'clock in the morning. Is that about right? 10 o'clock in the morning? Ah, you're in Michigan. That's right, Patricia, you told me. Oh, you're talking about the person that's looking for weed. Okay. Gran Torinos. I don't dislike them, but 9. Okay. So 14 hours. It's 7 p.m. here, 9 a.m. in Australia. Gotcha. Oh my gosh, do I have any cool stories in my job? I could go on and on and on. You know, if you look in my playlist, I'll tell another one here in a minute, but if you go to my playlist and look at paramedic playlist, I believe it's just paramedic, or paramedic military, I believe is the name. I've got a plethora of live stream shorts and videos. I believe that's the playlist it's in, of me just telling stories about my paramedic days. More about my paramedic days, because that's where I ran, the most calls. In the military, it was pretty uneventful. Even when I wasn't, over in Iraq, the possibility, of running ALS level, advanced life support level calls in the military was, I just didn't get the opportunity to do that. The only time I really had a chance to use my actual, training level was when I was assigned to the hospital, and I got to shadow the nurses, or not shadow them, but yeah, okay, you could say that. Just become an extra hand for the nurses, and I would start their IVs for them, or, go push a medication for them, or hang a bag of medication for them. But I mean, even I got to do that in Iraq a little bit. Starting IVs and pushing medications or hanging medications, but that's run of the mill for the civilian world. There's much more excitement out here in the civilian world than I got to do in the military. Not knocking the military, it's just that's the way it was. No, not orderly. No, I did more than that. Who is Dan Gleeballs? Is that a play on a word? Let me see. Dan Gleeballs. Dan Gleeball. Dan Gleeballs. Ah, very good. Haven't heard that one before. That's like Richard Cranium. Right? Roaming zombie. Seeing it. No. Gosh. Paramedic. Advanced cardiac life support. Or pediatric advanced life support. PALS. Trained in both of them. I had to think about that one, but that's good. Dangly balls. Okay, you made me laugh. High five. What I do in Iraq? Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot in Iraq. The only excitement as far as my medical, work. Not to mention the mortars and rockets that they were lobbing at us. I couldn't call that excitement. That was sheer terror, because of somebody else's stupidity. But as far as like medical work, man, I didn't do crap. The most I did was because I was there during flu season, and everybody was getting sick or having respiratory. Those smokers would have respiratory distress. Literally, the guys that smoked, they end up getting sick, and then next thing you know, they're wheezing, coming in. I need some help. My inhaler's not working. What? Sit down. Let's see what's going on. Listen to your lung sounds. Start an IV, put them on some medications, give them a breathing treatment. But the very end of the deployment, it started to pick up. Now, this is going to sound kind of morbid for the lay public, because when things start getting busy, that means somebody's getting sick and injured, which is, it's my time to go to work. That's what I'm there for. That's what I thrive on. And seriously, that's what is fun. It's fun to treat people. It's fun to stick IVs in you. I love it. Every paramedic does. I love intubating, but intubation means you're not breathing. So how many times did I come across a non-breathing patient in Iraq? I didn't, except at the very end. They brought in a bad guy that was basically dying we counted 16 entry wounds. M16 rounds, 7.62 rounds in his body. And he was what we call agonal, meaning without breath. But he was still breathing. It was like his brain stem was still working. He's doing the fish, we call it. It's all. And he's not even moving air. It's his brain stem telling him to breathe. There's no chest rise and fall. The body's just, we call it doing the fish. And so it's like, this guy needs to be intubated. We need to help him breathe. So I try to intubate him. You got to put a L-shaped device in his mouth and literally pick his head up. You're laying him down prone on the table or the ground. And you put your laryngoscope, you lift up his upper maxilla, their mandible, lower mandible, under their tongue, so that you can visualize their trachea in the very back of their throat. And you put a tube in their trachea between those two vocal cords. You put a tube through there. Well, I couldn't even do that. His body was still reacting. He wanted to bite down. Every time I put something in his mouth, they clamped down. So we have medications to paralyze you, to literally take away your respiratory drive and your muscle tone. Pretty scary, but that's what a paralytic does to you. It doesn't make you unconscious. That's the scary part. But this guy was unconscious anyways. So he was a perfect candidate for a paralytic, but we didn't carry paralytics, not at that basic, FOB, BAS, Battle Aid Station. That's what the Marines call the emergency room. It's just an advanced, first aid station. So I couldn't even relax his muscle tone so that I could intubate him. So ruled that out. All you can do is put a mask over their face and try to breathe for them. Put manual airways in their nose. It's a rubber tube called a nasal pharyngeal airway, or an NPA, or an oral pharyngeal airway. That's an OPA. And all it does is just creates an open airway into their trachea, before their trachea, and into their lungs, and you put a mask over their face and you breathe for them. But sometimes that's futile, and it was for this guy. It's like, man, we can't do anything for him. We didn't have the ability the drugs, the advanced drugs at that BAS. And so the doctor was trying to access his circulatory system, either via a vein or an artery. He was trying to access an artery in his clavicle, I believe, below his clavicle, and was unsuccessful at doing that. And eventually he stopped the whole resuscitation effort and just said, guys, stop. We can't do anything for this guy. And that was it. That was like the end of the last 2 weeks of my mobilization over in Iraq. And our other unit was already there. The other Marines were there. We were handing off to them. And then eventually we left in 7-ton trucks, and that's what we left them. It's like, welcome to Iraq. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah, if they're enemy or, yeah, it's just something to do. It's like, gosh, thank God. I've gone 7 months of boredom, and they bring in somebody. Doesn't matter who he is. It's an opportunity to start an IV, intubate, push medications, defibrillate. And I don't even know if we had a defibrillator. I can't remember whether we did or not. I don't think we did. Yeah. So why were we there? Well, it was more like sick call. That's what kept us busy, was sick call every morning. Jimmy knows about sick call. Doors were open 24/7, Although we did have a sign on the door and said sick call from 7 a.m. until 4:30 p.m., I think. Well, sick call's open anytime, but if you can, let us sleep until 7 and then come in with your, Doc, I need some Motrin. Doc, I'm not feeling well. Yeah, car battery and jumper cape. Our Humvee, that was our ambulance, was a Humvee with a red cross on it. We had a Marine as our driver from the Motor T transportation. the Motor T division. His name was Brumfeld. And we gave him a hard time because he was a Marine and he wanted to be over with his guys over at the Motor T, division. And we started calling him Doc. Hey, Doc, Brumfield. And he'd smile. Doc. He wasn't, he was a Marine, but he was our driver. Oh, what's up, Doc? Oh, true. Here's a funny story. Speaking of Brumfield, he's the driver, Marine. He's like 23, 24 years old. He's hanging out with us, sitting in the beach chair or those unfolding chairs that we had, and we're either playing PlayStation or whatever it is, watching videos on our DVD player that we actually purchased on an ongoing basis because the sand would destroy them. He came over to us, Brumfield did, our driver, and he's like, guys, I gotta ask about this. I'm kind of having issues with my hands. It's like, what's wrong with your hands? Let me see your hands. And he looks, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you got all over your hands? Look like warts. But it was like thick calluses all over his hand. And they were cracked and some of them were bleeding. And he had gloves of them. Both hands were covered in these thick calluses that were cracked, and some of them were starting to bleed. That's why he came to us. Because he's like, I need something for this. And it's like, dude, what's wrong with your hands? He's like, yeah, I know. I dealt with this all my life. And then I, get the, what we call, he's equivalent to a physician assistant, but his title is an IDC, Independent Duty Corpsman. He's our first class petty officer in charge. So we called over one of the IDCs and said, God, Doc, look at this. His name's Rudy Arocha. It's like, Arocha, come here a second. You ever seen something like this before? And we showed him Brumfield's hands. He's like, yeah, I think I know. Yeah, I've seen that. It's like, dude, how long you been dealing with this? And he's like, oh, all my life, or since I can remember. And apparently he's like a ranch hand, when he's home. He works on a ranch. And he's handling, horses and cows and ropes. And, he's doing, manual labor with his hands. It's like, yeah, but, I mean, getting calluses is one thing, but this looks like a condition, It's like you've got gloves of these calluses on your hand. Thick, rised mats on his hands. And I forget the condition that it was called, but it has a title. And it's a fungus. It's a fungal infection. And it's like, so what do we do for this? I was like drawing a blank. How do you treat this? I could put some ointment, some antibiotic on his wounds, but ultimately, how do you help somebody with this condition? The IDC goes, I've got something for you. He said, try this. He goes back to the cabinet. He opens up the cabinets, and he pulls out this tube of Vagisil. Now, the ladies out there know what Vagisil is, and some of the guys might know. It's a feminine product for a yeast infection. It's a tube of cream, but it's a yeast treatment. Well, that's he's got fungal infections on his hands. So he's like, Brumfield, come here. And he undoes the cap, punctures, the top of the tube. Yes. And he squeezes a bunch of it in Brumfield's hand. He's like, Doc, what are you giving me? He's like, don't worry about it. Just rub it in. He's like, nah, dude, come on. What is it? And he finally shows him the tube and he says Vagisil. He's like, no, dude, what are you doing? I can't put that on my hands. It's like, Brumfield, shut up. Just do it. It's a cream. It's going to help you. So he's like, oh my God, my guys aren't going to live me down for this. Please don't say anything about this. And we're like, We were laughing at him. So we squeezed a big old portion of that stuff and he just rubbed it in his hands, and it made him feel better and it started the healing process to help with this condition. Ultimately, he needs to follow up with his doc, when he gets home. But that's how we treated him. We put Vagisil all over his hands. And what are the chances we had Vagisil in our medicine cabinet over in Iraq? It's like, what the heck are we doing with Vagisil? Well, there are females, in the world, whether it's the medical world or the civilian world. But we didn't have any females on our base. There was like 2, I think, that I could count. One wasn't even an American. It was an Iraqi interpreter for the intelligence guys over there. They were kind of hush-hush behind a closed door. And they, with humor intended, there was a sign outside their door that said, "Do not enter or you will be killed or we'll kill you." In other words, knock before, you enter. But they had a female Iraqi lady, I just remember coming out of that room or working with the guys. And then another female was part of the disbursement. They dispersed money when we had an opportunity, even like, what do you do with money out in the middle of on a fob next to the Euphrates River? There's nowhere to spend money. But they had trucks come in every month, once a month. Matter of fact, that was my peripheral duty, was to develop a schedule, or at least post a schedule showing when the disbursement was going to arrive. And these semi trucks would come, one giant semi truck, and inside that trailer was what, as the Marines and the sailors know, is gidunk. It's basically candy and chips and cigarettes and just things to spend your money on. They had barbecue potato chips, Doritos. The smokers had their Marlboros and their Benson and Hedges and, all the gamut of cigarettes. And they had DVD players on sale, the little compact DVD players, and we purchased those, I mentioned earlier, kind of on an ongoing basis because the weather and the dirt and the sand would kill those things. And we played, movies at night and so on and so forth. So this truck would come once a month. And then that disbursement would set up in a little room in this building that we occupied. And we would go up to the door and give her ID, and they would, our social probably, and they would write it down, and they'd give you however much money you wanted. And then they would take it out of your paycheck, your automatic deduction, which we didn't even get. My wife got it back home. But that's where, that's when we got to actually spend money. Oh, so about the moon, I saw your comment here. Let me see. So as a military man yourself, what's your view on moon territory? U.S. China are kind of competing and setting up stationary bases on the moon. How does territory get split on the moon? Who owns what? I have no idea. I think the quest for, the stars is futile. If you know the truth, you know that there's no life out there. A lot of people are going to die if we ever try to land people on Mars. I think that's just a death trap, my own personal opinion. There's no reason to go to Mars. What's on Mars that we don't have here on Earth? It's like, come on. Earth's the only heavenly body out there that has what it has. God says so. So as far as going to the moon and other planets, it's like curiosity killed the cat. It's going to kill a lot of cats. Parental alienation. Erandre. No, I haven't. I can kind of understand it, but weightless is space, and there are negatives that go along with that. Yeah, I'd imagine. Come on. I have no idea about the station on the dark side of the moon. Sounds like an album. Who is it that comes in with the? Is that you? No, he isn't in here yet. He's one of my moderators. His profile picture is the that group. Darn it! What's the group that sings "Dark Side of the Moon"? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Pink Floyd. Sorry, not familiar. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. I just thought of it. Pink Floyd. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's got Pink Floyd. You know, the prism with the rainbow beam that's coming out or down to the prism on the Dark Side of I think that's Dark Side of the Moon's album. The name of that album, Dark Side of the Moon. I could be wrong, but that's Pink Floyd's. He has a Pink Floyd profile picture. I'm trying to remember his name. He's one of my moderators. Yeah. I've been to the Dark Side of the Moon. How was it? Wow, thanks for all the likes, guys, gals. Are you still there, Patricia? Are you still hanging out, listening? Are you making dinner? Oh, Matthew. Sorry, I do see you. What's up, Doc? Oh, bone mass reduced over time, low gravity, but also your blood flow, I think, behaves differently. I don't know how that affects, right? Oh, that's Geek O channel. Well, you kind of use your own, deductions and just think, well, there's got to be some effect on the physiology of the body, outside of the Earth, because it's not Earth. It's like, we were designed for this atmosphere. We weren't designed for the moon. We weren't designed anywhere else. Oh, I wish. Gosh. Spread the money, successor. I've got a, now that you say that, I've got a PayPal address listed in my description. Feel free to, I'm not monetized, so you can't gift me that way, but I've got a PayPal account, so if you want to go there and share your wealth, I would love that. I'm definitely not wealthy. No. My wife's the wealthy one. I don't have any money. Sorry. I always tell, when I was looking for a woman, I used to tell them, I'm thinking of one in particular I was chasing in Louisiana. There was a time when I got robbed, and I don't know if it was the lady that I actually was chasing. I hope it wasn't her. But whatever, my wallet disappeared, I lost everything, and I was out of state, I was on unemployment at the time, waiting for work to kick in. I finally found a job as a paramedic in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana. But anyways, in between, I was at a Popeye's chicken place, and I don't know if my wallet fell out of my pocket, but I'm going to say that I was pickpocketed or something. And I ended up with no money, and then my mind started racing. I had no ID, no money, I was dead in the water. And pretty low part of my chapter of that life, of the time of my life. So anyhow, I started suspecting, things. And I thought that this lady that I was with, she was actually with me when I discovered my wallet was gone. And I just had this feeling like she's like a suspect, And I thought, well, if she's after my money, she's in for a surprise because I don't have any. She's got all my ID and my cards, but there's got to be nothing in my accounts. If it was her. I never found out. I eventually got everything replaced, but I thought about, if ladies are after my money, they're after the wrong person. They're in for a surprise. Land and house wealthy, but money poor. Yeah, isn't that something? It's like, especially now, with the economy and the price of housing and how it's gone up. So now I've got like $250,000 in equity in the house, but it's in the house. It's not in my hand. And I think that's what you're referring to, in your land and in your property. Oh my gosh, Geeko Channel, where are you getting this? From outer space. Okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that actually, I'm sorry, I got really close again here. Woo! Man, look at that. I can't fix it. Come on, I'm pinching. It's not going back. Get out of my face. Holy moly. Oh, there it goes. It's a little bit better. Benson, Goon, a looker in high school. Yeah, I was saying earlier, us guys, when we're going through puberty and, starting to recognize the other gender, the other sex, I'm surprised I actually used that word. We start going through that, confidence stage where we didn't have any. And boy, that was me. I didn't realize, I didn't know what to do when girls were looking at me in junior high, high school. Gosh, I can't, it won't minimize. I'm pinching the screen, it won't minimize. There it goes. Okay. So yeah, I remember in junior high, that was, 8th, 9th grade, when these girls that were like the hotties, all the guys used to talk about them, and all of a sudden now I'm getting word that, they're looking at me, or somebody wants to talk to me. And I thought, whoa, what do you mean Cindy wants to talk to me? Cindy? I thought that was like some other hot guy was some other, the quarterback of the football team's, girlfriend or something. I didn't know that they even existed other than by name and them walking by. And now I'm getting a rumor that, they want to talk to me. Oh, I was a wreck. I didn't know what to do. It's like sometimes I never met them because I didn't want to go talk to them. Uh, 1980, high school. Madison High School, San Diego, California. Oh, wow. Holy moly. The house is paid off even. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, Patricia. Are you renting out for like an Airbnb and some of the rooms? That might be an idea if you're wanting. That takes some commitment to do that. I was going to say, I'll go rent one of your rooms. Do you remember the gas shortage? Where they went by the license plate number, whether it was even or odd, and the days that you could go and get gas? That was in the 70s. Yep. In what way, Jimmy? You mean they're better looking now than then? Or vice versa? Oh yeah, Geek, I did read your comment. We were talking about that last live stream about, or was it recently, astronauts when they get back have a profound, usually, I shouldn't say usually, some of them express how, like if they weren't a believer before they went into outer space, they are now. That effect that it has on them. We're all without excuse. I mean, this universe screams creation. And yet people want to give it another, how it came about. Oh, yeah, that was a big thing. I was so shy, I wouldn't take a shower because of that very reason. Some of the jocks, were like all butt naked in there, in the showers. Gosh, I was secluded back at my locker, thinking, this is gonna have to wait till I get home. I think I did that shower maybe no more times than I can count on my hand the years that I was in junior high school. No. Jace. What's up, Jace? Charles, it's kind of random at the moment. They're talking about space and humans in space and the effects of space on the human body, the physiology. It has kind of bouncing around the three hashtags that are associated with my channel are the Word of God, military, and emergency medicine. That tends to be kind of the focus on the discussion and whatever else everybody wants to talk about. Oh, I don't know about that. Your grandma and grandpa. How I love your channel. I opened my own business today. Woo! Let's see. It's an ice cream van. Everybody, ice cream wallow. Wait, ice cream wallow, come on. There we go. There's your shout out. Are you the same guy that came in? Ice swallow, yeah. Hey guy, dude, that'll get you off. The moderators will kick you out. You got to be careful. But I started giving you a shout out until I started saying it. Oh my goodness gracious! Everybody's got a. Here, true story, a paramedic in the emergency room got on the PA when he was dropping off a patient, and he decided to play a prank, and he got on the PA and he's like, Dr. Richard Cranium, line 2, please. Dr. Richard Cranium, line 2. And then he hung up, and everybody was like, what the heck? Who the heck is Richard Cranium? He's laughing, holding his stomach as he's walking away. Dr. Richard Cranium, line 2, please. Dr. Richard Cranium. Well, you almost got me with that one. Hey, love your channel. Opened up my business. I was all animated for you. Can you please give it a shout out? It's called yeah. Like and subscribe if you love ice cream. I am, Benson. Paramedic and United States military. Civilian paramedic, Navy corpsman. Part-time job in the military for 8 years. Well, this is so much more comfortable being out here in my air conditioning. And apparently the reception is better, and it looks like my microphone is still working, burning nice and blue. Hoorah, praise God for the military. And for being a first responder. I almost thought maybe you were a first responder. It was Mr. Toad's wild ride. It's definitely, unfortunately, it didn't pay enough, but you would think otherwise, but no. It doesn't, unless you're a nurse, and then you can make some big bucks. But nursing and pre-hospital medicine, two different animals. Pay-wise and duty-wise. Yeah, I don't know if he caught it or not, but I'll leave it alone. I mean, if he wants to, if he does it again, well, here, as a matter of fact, I can get rid of it just to. There we go. It's already done, so. We talked about that here shortly ago, about saving lives. Yeah, it's very rare to actually, to literally save a life where somebody actually gets to go home and live a productive life. That's Hollywood and the media, misrepresents that. We make a difference. That's the biggest thing. I've ran a 911 call where for example, elderly lady was scared in her trailer, and she didn't have anybody to call to come and be with her. And I sat there on scene with her, and she held my hand. She squeezed my hand, just sitting there next to me, like close to me, up against me, just wanting to hold my hand so she could calm down. And it's like we're asking her, you got any family you can call? We can call for you to, have them come over? No, they're all out of state. How about a neighbor, a friend? And she was a nervous wreck. She called 911. She got scared. She was like 80 plus years old. She just wanted to hold my hand. I know. It's just like, oh my gosh. She called 911. Firefighters were there. I was there, my partner. And I think we eventually got neighbors to help us out, and stay with her. So, for example, another call, poor mom, first baby, she's got a toddler now, and she had broken a glass, prior, and she missed one of the shards of glass on the ground, and the toddler was crawling around in the outside the kitchen or whatever, and all of a sudden heard this blood-curdling scream, and she walks around the corner, and her baby's, there's blood everywhere, and he's crawling, or she, whatever sex it was, and it cut its toe, and it was bleeding like a sieve, like a pig, all over the hardwood floor. But it was just a laceration of the toe. And she eventually, got pressure on it and stopped it, but it just freaked her out, and she called 911. So we get there and find out what happened, and there's coagulated blood everywhere. And so we offered her a ride to the hospital. I don't remember if she accepted it or not, or sometimes they're so in a wreck that they don't want to drive, with the child in the car seat. So they want us to take them. And, we give a ride for a Band-Aid call. I don't remember if it needed sutures or not, but that's all that happened. Are you wearing a mask? No. Spirit, did I miss it? There to St. Clair, Michigan. Hey, there's another Michigonian, I don't know what you call up somebody from Michigan. Patricia in Michigan. Patricia, say hello to your neighbor, Spirit. No way. Oh my gosh, St. Clair Township, Michigan here. Oh, small world. Are you guys close? Yeah, see, in her world, that's right. We take the emergency out of somebody else's hands. It's what we do. They always tell us now when we're new into the pre-hospital field, they try to tell you, just remember, it's not your emergency. You're not the one having the emergency. So be calm. Your job is to take their emergency away from them. And that way they can settle down. They can be confident that they're okay. Whether it's a cut toe or a respiratory distress or an upset stomach or diabetes or heart attack or whatever. Gunshot. Somebody asked me to share some calls or stories, and I haven't done that yet, but Chris, come on, brother. Have a normal conversation. Just join us. Michiganders. Michiganders? What'd I say? Michigonians? A gander of geese, Michiganders. There's a lot of geese up there. We get them down here. Mom, wow, you know what? Is Flint near Detroit? What do I know about Flint? My dad's from Detroit, but why in my upbringing did my mom used to talk, or my dad used to talk about Flint? What the heck is Flint doing in my memory? Maybe it's nowhere near. But I know Flint, Michigan. Why do I know that? Have I been there? Somebody's from Flint, Michigan in my family, or something to do with Flint. My dad was born in 38. So yeah, your mom's Or is your mom still alive or no? My dad died 2017. 2013? 2017. Flint water crisis? Yeah, not me, but I'm looking something up here. See if I can find. No. Here, I'm gonna, give me 1 second here. Oh, Jimmy, I just realized after looking something up again, something I forgot to mention about moderating as well. If somebody comes in and they, trolling or whatever it is, and they want to put out a comment that's stupid, go over to their channel and see how long they've had their channel. If they've had their channel less than 6 months or 3 months, just get rid of them. I just looked at Chris U.S. Patriot's channel and he's had it for 3 days. So I don't, just get rid of them. It seems like those that are developing channels, like just recently, are just doing it to stay incognito and to run around people's live streams and post stupid comments. And whether that's true or not, I don't want to deal with it. So if their channel's that new, just get rid of them. Nature location, seaside, mountains with forest, plains, deserts, canyons. Wow, all of the above so far. What's the most relaxing for you? Where do you feel most peace with nature? Well, I was in the rock climbing and mountaineering community for over 30 years. I got introduced to it when I was 19. And it kept me in the best shape of my life up until I was 53 years old. And so therefore, it's pretty obvious that my heart is in the mountains. But then again, you can go to high deserts and beaches and canyons and rivers, lakes, oceans. I love sailing. Sailing's a passion of mine. Never owned a boat, but I was like a deckhand for a friend of mine on his sailboat. Being out on the ocean is like God's country to me, as well as being in the mountains, etc. So out on the ocean and in the mountains. See, just nature, period. Next to a river, up in the Sierra Nevadas at altitude, Yosemite Valley, any rock climbing location is always like jaw-dropping to me. Even flying, being in the air, that's always been kind of I never pursued it, but it's all about like navigation, keeping yourself safe in a in a challenging environment is like the attraction. So in the air, on the water, on land, being able to navigate, and get from point A to point B safely, to know what you're doing. It's like a math problem, being able to figure out the problem. That's what rock climbing is. It's figuring out a problem. That's what we call the rock climbs. They're problems. It's a puzzle that you got to put together. Navigating on the oceans, a puzzle. Navigating on land is a puzzle. And you get to use, technical instruments, to figure out how to get from point A to point B and to do it safely. It's pretty cool, at least to me it is, when things work, when you're able to use a map and compass and figure it out, taking into account, the declination in different areas of the world so that your compass isn't wrong. I'm just giving examples. That type of stuff is attractive to me. Yeah, exactly. Well, there you're asking. There must be so many risks involved. Someone always has to go first. Can you imagine the pioneers, that did that? When they were just moving their families up and over, just across the continent that they'd never even been on before, navigating rivers and lakes and people say, oh, they were primitive. They didn't have what we have today. Really? Look what they accomplished with what little they had. Sounds like a brilliant mind to me. Yeah, being on the water, huh, Patricia? Nothing like it. That's why I keep going out. Not just to go fishing, but just to be out on the water. It's such a cool feeling to be out on the water, isn't it? You ever slept out there? Ever slept on the water? Oh my gosh, the best waterbed ever made. It's like, just rocks you to sleep. It's so cool. That is a calm water, that is. Yeah, no kidding. Our ancestors don't get enough badass credit. OMG is right. I was saying earlier, our founders of this country that came over across the Atlantic, and when they first landed, like in these woods, these pine and oak and maple barrens. How did they get through this stuff? Oh, they didn't. They used the water. But then again, when they did, they had to fell trees, and it's like unbelievable. Unbelievable what they put out to survive. It's crazy. We're so spoiled. We really are. Yep. From a ship to full civilization. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Think about the minds they brought over that established this country. Engineers, navigators, what's the word of the profession I'm thinking of? Surveyors. They knew what they were doing. They knew how to put together a city, a full functioning society, putting it together. Scottish, that's the major part of my Ancestry.com. Scott, English, Welsh, there's some Irish in there down at the very bottom. Something else, but I already knew what I found out, or at least what my mom had and my aunt researched about our heritage, and it was pretty spot on when I got the DNA results back. I'm a MacKay as my channel. I use that last name from my research of how my last name was originally spelt. I think back to the 1100s is as far back as I was able to see. MacKay, MacKay. Yeah, I want to go back to Scotland and just to say that I've been there, you know, like, okay, this is where I originated. Ah, you are, Jake. Yep, another Mac. My last name is actually MCC. That's exactly the spelling today. I remember transporting the oldest patient I had in the back of my ambulance. He was 105 years old, and I'm doing the paperwork. I'm, you know, as all calls entail doing paperwork, you know, lots of paperwork. Anyways, just a transport. I was a basic EMT transporting this elderly man from his doctor's appointment back to his nursing home. Yes, ambulances do that. We call them wait and return transfers. You transfer them from their home to their appointment. You wait until it's done. You transfer them back to their home because they can't go by car. They got to lay flat sometimes. So a gurney in an ambulance offers that. So anyhow, I'm doing the paperwork and I'm filling out his name. I'm looking at his birthday. I start to write his birthday down. I'm like, 98. And I went, well, that's a typo. You know, I'm about writing 1998. And I'm looking at him and I'm looking at the date. I'm looking at him going, okay, that must be a typo. I said, sir, what's your birthday? I got the month and the day looking at me. But I said, what year you were born? He goes, 1898. And I went, what? You were born in 1898? So the 98 was correct. And I crunched the numbers. I said, oh my gosh, you're 105 years old? He says, I think so. But he was clear. And I went, oh my gosh. And I had to look in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Who's the president in 1898? It was President McKinley. He was born in the President McKinley era. His 82-year-old daughter was at the nursing home waiting for him. Daughter, she's 82. She has a daughter who's 56, and she has kids who have kids. There was like 5 generations alive. And I was transporting him. Oh, anyways, so that man, see, I get off on a tangent. That man asked me, so who are you, young man? And I told him my name, and he goes, so I said, he says, what are you, Scot or Irish? And I said, a Scot. He goes, that's my boy. I went, oh? But then I was telling him about the spelling of my last name, and he says, yeah, it's because some damn American changed it. The MCC, you know. It's coming from a 105-year-old man. Some damn American changed it. Yeah, McKinley, there you go. That's awesome. You're in northern Poland. Well, I'm right next to an airport, geek. F-16 squadron. So I got F-16 screaming over my house and doing circles on a regular basis, along with Coast Guard helicopters and military helicopters, and now I got other military planes every now and then taking off and landing, circling and flying over our house. It's pretty loud. It rumbles. It shakes the house. Roar. I've had President Trump's plane land here at the airport when he's visiting the region. Hey, Ronnie. Oh, everyone, you got the thumbs up? You click on the like button? Appreciate it. Thanks. Ronnie, where are you from? I'm Scottish, I'll have you know. Any polls when you were on duty? No, I wonder why. See, YouTube has an algorithm that withholds, I don't know, keywords and something about did you interact with any polls while you were on duty? It withheld that sentence. I don't have no idea why it's doing that. I don't know. Not directly, like from the Polish army or military. I don't believe. If I did, I didn't know it. The only foreign fighters, I guess you could call them, that I dealt with were the Iraqi National Guard, the INGs. They were on our side. We were supposedly showing them the ropes and then eventually turn over the responsibility to them when we left. I held some first aid classes for the guys and had my interpreter Ali next to me. Thank God for Ali. Ali is now here in Michigan. Speaking of Michigan, my interpreter that I spent 7 months with lives in Michigan. I know you'll have your own thoughts and say about the area, but yes, he lives in, help me out, Patricia and the other that's in Michigan. The large Muslim community, say the name, and he doesn't live there, but it's a nearby town with the same name but without the ending. When I see it, they were recently on the news, I think. But anyways, that's where he immigrated to when he came from Iraq. And the story is, wow. I left Ali in 2005. I spent 7 months with him. He went on patrols with us. He refused to carry a weapon. He always said, I'm in God's hands. I'm see the name that I'm thinking of, the town the city that he lives in. But anyways, Ali, I left Ali, in fob heat when I left, and the rest, the other interpreter, Safwan, and the two international workers from Albania and Yugoslavia, Tevfik and Islam. But Ali I stayed in touch with. Then it was Yahoo Messenger. Remember Yahoo Messenger? And I would interact with him, communicate with him, and we'd just greet each other, every now and then. Ali, how you doing? What are you doing now? Are you still working with the military? Are you still interpreting? Where are you living now? He's from Baghdad. But he's working, in other places, other fobs for the military. And one time I contacted him, I think it was like 2010, 5 years after I got home. And I asked him, so where are you at? He says, I'm back in Baghdad. One of the times I spoke with him, he was in Baghdad, back there doing he was a nurse and he was an English teacher as well. So he's back in Baghdad was like the last time. And then the next time, I said that wrong. The next time I contacted him, I asked the same questions, so where are you at now? And he goes, Michigan. And I went, Michigan? Like, okay. Sometimes other, places in the world have names, names of American cities and so on, or states. So I thought there was a Michigan, Iraq. And I wrote back, so Michigan, Iraq? He says, no, Michigan, USA. I'm like, you're in Michigan? He said, yes. I said, oh my gosh, what are you doing in Michigan? And how did you get there? And, I was like, you got to be kidding me. long story shorter, I reconnect with him. I call him. Sure enough, he's in. I'm still waiting for that name of the city there in Iraq, the large Muslim community there in I mean not Iraq, in Michigan. And so I connect with him via phone call, and then I ended up flying to Michigan with my wife. Oh, we drove. Sorry, my son and I and my wife drove to Michigan and Dearborn. Thank you. He lives in Dearborn Heights. That's it. There's Dearborn and there's Dearborn Heights. He lives in Dearborn Heights. It's a suburb of, I think, of Dearborn. And thank you. So we go to Dearborn Heights. He gives us a place to stay, gives us a room to stay in his home. Tears and all. Oh my gosh, I never saw that coming. Man, we hugged each other. It was like unbelievable. There's the man, the Iraqi that I spent 7 months with at war. And he's in the USA. And his youngest son lived with him at that time, his wife and his youngest son, who was like 22 at the time. I think now he's a physician. He was actually studying to be a doctor. And he's got another son that's in California, I believe in Huntington Beach or something. And that's how he came to America, is through his family petitioned for him. I thought the military helped him, gave him a pass basically to come to America, but no, his family helped him. Unbelievable. And then he took the train, the bus and the train to Philadelphia, and I went and picked him up, and we went downtown New York together. And it was like, man, I spent 7 months with this man. What are the chances that he moved to Michigan, USA? Unreal. To this very day, I'm still in touch with him. And his wife, Iman. Yep. Thank you, Patricia. That's exactly what I was thinking of, Dearborn. He lives in Dearborn Heights. Yep. And I got to talk to Ali at length when I was there about his story, his life, who he was before. He was here, just to give you a little insight as to, everyone has their story, but Ali being, from another part of the world, a different religion, different, the whole 9 yards. He's like, what are the two sects? Not SEX, SECTS, in Iraq, religious sects, the Shia and the Sunnis. Yeah. His wife, I believe, is a Sunni, and he's Shia. They don't get along, and they're married to each other, and they had to even keep that a hush-hush thing. They got married in private, and he told me his story. It was just amazing to hear his story. And then him becoming an interpreter, danger, Will Robinson. That was like, anybody that's an interpreter has got a target on them. Yeah, so, and, everyone has their story. His son became an interpreter like when he was 15. And he's speaking brilliant English. Ali's an English teacher. And a nurse. He's got his bachelor's in nursing. I sat there at length at 8:30 p.m. every night I could, in Iraq, and drank coffee and tea with him, chai, and spoke with him, and him with me. And then when I reunited and he came to my home and stayed with me in my home, we sat at the table and talked at length about his life, and just amazing. Awesome. Welcome everybody. If I didn't catch everyone in the house, Mike, etc. Oh, Poland and USA did some badass operations together in Iran, Afghanistan. Yeah, I wasn't familiar. I'm not familiar with that. I consider the Polish people to be very good allies to the United States and love their freedom as well. Yeah. Good morning, Sun Monitor. Yeah, they were under the company KBF. I forget what that stands for. Some hiring international agency, or was it a U.S. agency that employed those interpreters and other workers for the United States? KBF, was it? And Safwan, he was the ex-Iraqi pilot with the Iraqi Air Force. Man, he was the other interpreter. He jumped ship from Iraq to the U.S. to help the U.S. out. Now, he carried a Kalashnikov, an AK, and it was chromed out. It was so cool. He kept that thing polished, and he was always cleaning it, and he carried it with him on all his missions. But Ali, he refused to carry a weapon. He just carried a megaphone. That was his weapon, the megaphone. Yeah, Safwan was pretty cool. He was like the Iraqi version of Tom Selleck. Tall, dark, handsome, mustache. Did he have a mustache? I believe he did. He used to tell me, checklist, Doc, checklist, because I was forgetting things a lot in the room when I went back to my, to the BAS, the Battle Aid Station. That's where I hung out. And then I'd end up coming back to get something I forgot. And he kept telling me, checklist, Doc, checklist. And I never did make out a checklist. But you know what? To this day, I have a checklist for my fishing gear. There it is. I keep it in my car because I've got so much going on, so many variables going on. When I take out my kayak and I'm hitting the water, I'm always forgetting something from recording equipment to batteries, to hooking up my trailer lights, to wearing my fishing gloves, to you name it. So I finally got a checklist. I've got about 13, 14 items there on my fishing equipment my checklist. And yes, it helps. What time is it, guys? 8? Wow, 8:15 or 8:14. Two hours, 44 minutes and counting. That's what I got on my timer here. Mark Jameson. I asked the foreign worker from Albania, Tefik, T-E-F-I-K, just in talking with him over coffee and tea one evening. I was his English teacher unofficially, and he was the English student, and he would bring his paper and pencil to the 8:30 evening meeting that we'd have together, coffee, and I would teach him English, and he'd pick my brain, and he'd look at my lips, and he'd listen to how I was pronouncing it, and then he would write it down in his letters as to how it sounded to him, and he would pronounce it based on his vowels, which are the Latin vowels or the Spanish vowels, a, e, I, o, u, a, e, I, o, u. And he uses those Latin vowels. And I realized that after the fact, when he was writing it down, I went, oh, I can pronounce that. Not only because I just told him what the word was, but the way he wrote it was in his vowels. But he used the A, E, I, O, U vowels and pronounced it according, in the Spanish or the Latin pronunciation. And I went, oh, so your language uses those vowels? And then I realized, oh, there's many languages around the world that use that. Pronounce the A and the I, E for I, E. That's why the word fob, heat, is pronounced that way, H-I-T. We'd pronounce it hit. It's like, no, I is E. Well, same in the Philippines, the Spanish. So anyways, Tefik, what was I saying about Tefik? Yeah, we would have English class. It seemed like there was more I was going to elaborate on Tefik. I was talking about something else. And I thought about Tefik. What was it? Oh, about his, the amount of money. What brought him to Iraq? What was the sequence of events that brought Tefik to Iraq? What are you doing here in a war zone? Emptying our shitters. He was, he had the truck with the suction tube sucking out all the gray water, out of the blue water, whatever water, the sewage water out of the outhouses. We had like 11 of them. And then it'd go empty it into the gray water pits outside the wire, out in the distance. Drive the truck out there and then drain all the water out of it. And it's like, how did you get this job? And he said, well, we don't make enough money. I don't make enough money in Albania. So I asked him, so how much do you make? And we figured out he made like $200 a month. And I said, okay, how much are you making here in Iraq? He said, 800. And I went, well, that's a no-brainer. No wonder you came here. And he's like, yeah, you got to go where there's money. And that international worker routine is like not unheard of. It's not unusual for people to have to go outside of their country just so they can make a living. And here we are in America. How often do Americans go outside the American border to go make a living because they can't make enough here in America? We're so sheltered. So he was making 4 times what, as a truck driver. He was a truck driver in Albania. So now he's driving a truck in Iraq. It just happened to be outhouse, emptying outhouses. And the other guy, Islam, he was our trash picker-upper. He drove the trash truck. So he would go to the trash bins, those ones that pick up the bins and empty it in, and then they'd take it out to the dump. We had a dump that apparently the Marines, I think, used heavy equipment to dig a big hole in the ground as a dump. And we'd dump the trash and debris out in the dump, and then they'd burn it. We had that thing glowing almost every night, which was apparently a target for the guys that were launching BFRs at us, big effing rocks. In other words, mortars and rockets. That glow of the dump was like a bearing, so they could launch mortars and rockets at us. They had some pretty primitive but effective ways of hitting our fob. Apparently, they would take like vehicles and drive them out behind the fob or somewhere in line with the fob, headlights of vehicles, and they would point the headlights at the fob, and those launching the mortars or rockets were at a distance away looking for those headlights, and they were aiming the mortars and rockets at the headlights. And they would radio, via cell phone or whatever, as to, okay, we're here, we're in position. Shoot for the headlights. The fob is this far in front of us. And they'd shoot for effect, and they'd radio back and say, too far right, too far left. That was the word. That's what they were doing. Canada comes to Michigan to work. Okay, you're talking about, are you going to sit in your car the whole time? I don't know. I'm going to end this, I think, pretty soon, because the wife has already got home from work. My son went and picked her up at 5, and here it is 8:20 now. They're probably wondering, where the heck am I? My car's gone out of the driveway. So I think I'm gonna call it. That's a good idea, just so I can get home to the family and see if there's any leftovers or new food, or maybe they went out and got something, or so. Sound good, guys? Everybody that came in that's still hanging out, looks like there's 6 of you or so. Let me relieve you guys as you were. And thank you, Patricia, Jimmy, all the rest. Good meeting you. If I didn't acknowledge you somewhere back in the list, I'm so sorry. Geeko and Mark, Sun Monitor. Even those that came in and left stupid statements, thanks, guys, for the algorithm boost there. If you didn't already, hit the thumbs up. I'm sure most of you did. Subscribe if you want. I'm on no schedule, so no, I'm not doing it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I probably should go back on, but I have no schedule. So just look for the notification. You'll see it pop up and so on and so forth. Yeah, you too, Geeko. Thanks for adding to the smorgasbord of countries. It's pretty cool to think, okay, we got somebody from the other side of the world or thereabouts. Philippines, USA, Poland, Australia. We had somebody from Australia. At the very beginning there, I had a regular visitor. I don't know if he was going to sleep or he was busy, but he popped in. He was like the first person in. He said hi. Jay Reverie, or however he pronounces that. You guys can continue to chat for a little bit. I think even after I close when I'm using StreamYard, it's another site that allows live streaming and bringing up people on the stage and filling up the... I don't have that ability here. I can only do one person up on stage if I select that before I go live, which I did not this time, and I don't usually do that. But when doing that, when using StreamYard and closing the live stream, I can actually stay in the room, and those that are in the chat room at that time of me closing can actually stay there and continue to talk offline. It's not broadcast to YouTube. That sounds kind of cool, huh? It's like right now, the whole world is able to see us, or at least see me and see you guys chat. But when I'm using this other site, this other, I keep wanting to call it platform. Somebody corrected me, said it's not a platform. But anyways, when I'm using that, StreamYard, it allows me to continue the conversation offline with those that are in the room at the time of me closing it. And I just tell them, so guys, don't leave, just hang out for a second. I'm going to close this, but we can all continue to talk. And that's kind of fun. So maybe I'll get a chance to do that back. I'll have to be at the house using a laptop or my smart TV where I can access the browser and then bring up StreamYard. And a free account allows you to have 6 people up on stage. A paid account allows you to have 10. And then a free account only allows like 20 hours of streaming per month. Whereas a paid account, it's unlimited or up to a certain amount or whatever it is. But the free account is what I've used for a long time. And then if you have more than one account, in other words, i.e. more than one email address, you can open up multiple accounts, and then that 20 hours per month multiplies itself by how many accounts that you have. So if you have 4 accounts, you can do 80 hours a month. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same. Well, I mean, I'd be up there with you guys. I stay on with you via the camera and the chat, but it's not broadcast on YouTube anymore. I close that down. As long as my camera's running, you're able to see me. So I'll let you know. I'll try that maybe sometime. All I need is my phone and, speaking of, I'm plugged in, and in another device to use the StreamYard on. So what it'll be is I'll be on the panel twice. I'll be on via my phone, and then I'll be on via the smart TV at my house. But I won't have 2 pictures unless I had 2 cameras. I've done that before too. I've had 2 different views, like one from one side and one from the other. And then I'm up on the panel simultaneously. But I have to mute one because it'll echo. Usually I come up on stage via this, and then I'll close I don't have a camera for the other account. And you'll just see my profile picture next to me. Let's see. Have you ever tried to catch a whole shot in your SUV? A what? Catch a whole shot? What do you mean? Oh, a whole. You're talking about WHOLE? A whole shot in your. What are you talking about, Jimmy? Across the parking. What? I'm talking about burning rubber. Is that what you're calling it? A whole shot? I didn't know what that meant. It's front wheel drive, so I'd have to just burn rubber with my front wheels. Actually, the thing's turbocharged. Hence the reason why I bought it. It's a Cadillac. It's the lower line of the Cadillac, but it's front wheel drive, but it's turbocharged. And if I put it in sport mode, I can spin the front tires. As it bounces across the... I had I'm not leaving yet, but I had a turbocharged Mitsubishi wagon, front wheel drive only. And I boosted the horsepower, the wheel horsepower, almost 100 wheel horsepower from stock. And that was a problem that I developed, was keeping the tires on the asphalt, because it would just spin and bounce crazy. I increased it from 140 plus wheel horsepower to 240. So I had difficulty, but I didn't do it so that I was able to do that with my wheels. it was just a curiosity that I did. It was a midlife crisis at 50, and I ended up being successful at turbocharging my engine with the help of guys in speaking of Canada, in Ottawa, and a tuner was in Ottawa, another guy was in Ontario, and they both were instrumental in helping me online, turbocharging my engine, just giving me instructions, helping me out, telling me to hang in there, be patient, giving me an electronic tune literally in my email, and then uploading it into the OBD device, or into the ECU, I'm sorry, of my engine, the computer, basically the brain, and then having it run with all the extra equipment, turbocharger and charge tubing and intercooler and bigger spark plugs and injection, the fuel injectors. Yeah, it was wild. I ended up racing it on road race courses, just as not competitively, but just recreationally on the weekends and when I had free time. And I was able to go to different states. One in particular, Massachusetts, and got to run the car on that new road race course there in Massachusetts. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I ended up losing that car, literally giving it away for $1,000. Yes, EFI. Thank you. Yeah, for those that I didn't know anything about, I didn't know what I was doing when I got into it. I didn't know anything. I was a paramedic. I put people together. I didn't put cars together. And yet I got into the world of what's the technical term for turbocharge? That's a oh my gosh, I'm back on Mitsubishi.com, evolution.net. It's a induction engines. Yeah, I guess that's the technical term for turbocharged and supercharging your car. So anyways, so I started learning a little bit, when I do my research and YouTube and internet and so on. I started learning the language and the different abbreviations for the, car parts and turbocharging and air fuel ratios and oil pressure gauges, and I had my little trio of gauges and the whole thing. It was pretty cool. It was a fun ride. On it, his Marine brothers, he just has to pick it up. I have a Mazda RX-8 with the rotary engine. Oh my gosh, still making rotary engines? My ex-wife had a original Mazda RX-7. I thought that was the coolest thing to drive. In the garage, use public transportation until I find funds. How fun. So let's see. Oh, and I learned how to drive a front-wheel drive car, at speed on road race courses. Different animal. Boy, that was a learning curve. But once I learned the concept of weight distribution and how cars respond and react under speed, and when you put your brakes on and it puts weight on your front wheels, and you need weight on all four wheels, that's the ideal scenario. Why cars understeer and oversteer, and you learned all that on the track. They had classes on the track. It was called Track Night in America, TNIA. I think they still have it because I still get emails. And I was getting free track time, becoming a ambassador for Track Night in America, and they give me free track time. That was cool. You said you'd have to pay $125, normally. And I was getting it free. So for just going on Facebook and giving away discount codes to people, promoting their business. And it enabled me to just, as long as I had gas and the car was good to go, I would take it down to the track. And I only got up to the intermediate level. They had a novice, intermediate, and advanced. And I worked my way up to intermediate and occasionally would drop down into the novice because they needed more people to give the class. They needed so many participants. So they used to email me and say, hey, would you be willing to, drop down into the novice division so that we can have a class, this weekend? Sure, I'll be there. Free. I didn't have to drive any differently. I was just driving a little bit faster than the rest of them as they're learning the ropes, It's always fun to pass the new guys because I was one once. The Camaro. Yeah, I know. Well, I learned also, and here I am older, I'm like 50 something then, learning this. And I realized that what I was doing or what I was trying to do with my car when I was younger was absolute stupidity. That type of behavior out on the city streets has no business out on the city streets. Because normally these kids, that is me, when I was their age, they don't know what they're doing. Nor did I. I learned a lot about driving, being part of this track night in America. OMG, how naive I was about handling my car. And then when you're out here on the road, OMG, you're watching yourself as you used to be in these kids doing this stuff out on these city streets. No business. I used to encourage, when I had a chance to meet them one-on-one, I would see their behavior and end up seeing them drive into a gas station, and I'd be getting fuel and I'd recognize them. And instead of, chastising them, I'd say, hey, you ever heard of Track Night in America? I got a discount code. You can go there for, a cheaper price. And they don't have any idea what I'm referring to. And I'd educate them and say, you should check it out sometime. You'll learn a lot. Trying to keep them, safe by telling them about this program. You'll learn a bunch, and you'll realize that what you're doing, I didn't say this to them, what you're doing out here on the city streets has no business. You have no business out here on the city streets because you don't know what you're doing. Nor even if you did know what you're doing, you wouldn't be doing it because there's no place for it out here in the city streets. And that's what I learned. And I was like, wow, no wonder I spun out on the on-ramp the one time I decided to try to perform my car a little more aggressive on the off-ramp. It was an off-ramp, like a cloverleaf off-ramp. I ended up spinning out into the woods, almost destroyed my car. I had people getting out of their cars, running over, are you okay? I'm like, I'm good. As I'm embarrassed as heck, and I had mats of mud and grass caked underneath my wheel wells and all over my apparatus under my car. Thank God I didn't hit a tree, but I spun out off the road into the infield of this off-ramp. And I know what happened now. And I thought I was cool, this car can handle it. I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, and then be able to control the car when it does go into a spin. A front-wheel drive car, for those of you saying, oh yeah, you steer in the direction of that your back end is. No, not in a front-wheel drive. Well, yes, but you get on the accelerator in a front-wheel drive as opposed to getting off the accelerator in a rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Actually, all-wheel drive's the same animal as a front-wheel drive. You just got four wheels, but the concept is the same as a front-wheel drive. You accelerate when you start spinning, when your back end gets away from you. That's contrary to a rear-wheel drive. Back off the accelerator and you steer in the direction of your slide. Not in a front-wheel drive. You get on the accelerator. Why? It transfers your weight back to your rear wheels and get your wheels back on the asphalt. And then your car starts to steer in the direction that you're steering. Yeah, it's different. I learned that. I would put my car out of control on purpose out on the track. I get warned about it sometimes. You know, I get called in. They call you in. They don't get rid of you. They just educate you if you need it. You know, so what happened out there? And you tell them. They say, oh, well, try slowing down, or try doing this before the turn or after the turn. But I learned how to control the car eventually, the front wheel drive. And I just wanted to test it out. It's like, okay, I know, I get the concept. I get why I have to accelerate, get the weight back on my rear wheels. So let's try it. And I would do it in the rain. And then I'd get warned and say, you know, hey, I saw you, drifting around that one corner. I said, drifting? Excuse me, I'm sorry, sir, but how do you drift in a front wheel drive car? And I was it's like, I am not drifting out there. I'm trying to see how to control my car when I oversteer. And I wanted to see, and so I tested it on in the rain, because in the rain, the traction is much, much less. So I tested it out, and sure enough, man, works like magic. And then when I told them that, they're like, oh, well, you should see the Corvette Club on Sundays when they come out here on turn one. And I was like, oh my gosh, now he's on my side. They called me in because they got observers, on radios, and they're thinking, okay, this guy's out of control, or this guy's doing something that he's not supposed to be doing. And I wasn't. I was trying to figure out how to control my car in the event my back end did get away from me on that turn. So I'd do it on purpose. I'd approach it fast and get on my brake, so the car shifted onto the front wheels and my back end would start to slide. And then I would get on my accelerator to bring the back end back in the direction that I was aiming. And sure enough, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing works. Like, this is cool. And then he's on my side. Oh, you should see the Corvette Club on Sundays on turn one if you want to see these guys control their vehicles when their back end gets away from them. They do it on purpose so they can get around that turn quicker. I was like, oh my gosh, now he's on my side. He's like, yeah, just be careful out there next time. Okay, thanks. And back out on the track I went. And they do flag you. Like if you get 3 flags, they black flag you. That means come on in, and they get an instructor, come to your window and ask, what happened. Well, if you do that 3 times and you're not paying it, and you keep disobeying what they're, you keep doing what they're asking you not to do, they're going to ask you to leave. So. Anyways, gosh, I ended up on another tangent and taking another 20 more minutes. Yeah, so hey, for the young guys, if there's any young guys out there watching or listening, if you ever get a chance, pursue going to a road race course and taking a course. It's awesome. Really educational, and it'll help you be a safer driver out here on the road. Much safer driver out on the road. Okay, you asked about spinning my wheels here. Well, it is raining, so it's wet out there. Speaking of rain, it's all wet outside. The windows are all rained out, so this should be easy. You want to hear my little front wheel drive? Hold on a second. I got to roll the windows down here. Here, hold on. Everything's in the way here, the way this phone is mounted. It's right here at my hand and my steering. All right, let's see. Keep the light on. Take off the auto shut-off mode there. Put it in sport. There it is. Oh, I got a story about the sport mode, and I'm embarrassed to almost say it, but I learned otherwise. I learned because of it. Was when I first bought the car, you know, it's a Cadillac, so I thought, you know, it's got leather interior, you know, and it's definitely Cadillac, you know, as far as the interior. But the ride was like a bucket, a rattle bucket, you know, and I thought, okay, what did I bought this thing as is, pretty much didn't purchase any warranties on it. And I thought, you know, they can sell a car if it's compromised. You know, it just doesn't sound like Cadillac's reputation. Why is the ride on this thing so rough? When I'm just when I'm pulling into a driveway, you know, the bump just going into a driveway feels like it's gung, 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 gung. And when I hit potholes or bumps on the road, it just seems like, you know, my wife's got a Lexus and that thing is quiet as a kitten and it's just, you know, a luxury car and I'm used to that. Even my other cars I've had just didn't sound or feel like this car. And I'm like, you know, what's wrong with the suspension? And I'm bouncing on the suspension and it seems to be good to go. It just didn't make sense that they would sell, you know, a car with a problem. So I even brought it to them and asked them about it, and they're telling me, you know, yeah, we wouldn't sell a car, you know, if it had, you know, that. I said, yeah, that's what I thought too. You know, and then I'd research what suspension is on it that comes stock. What suspension could I put on it, you know, to smooth it out? And I'm going all down that road, not realizing that I had a mode that was the reason for the rough ride. And it was sport mode. This thing, I didn't know. Well, I figured sport mode enabled me, you know, the acceleration to pick up quicker, you know, and for it to, you know, reach, you know, it's a sport mode. But I didn't realize that it affected the suspension as well. Sport mode did. It made the suspension more stiff. And if I take it out of sport mode and I put it in touring mode, I Googled it, and I finally read some AI response that said, you know, try eco mode or touring mode. And I thought, oh yeah, well, I have that. Really? Could that be it? So I put it in tour mode and I started going over bumps and pulling into driveways and it was smooth. And I thought, no way. Really? I had it in sport mode the whole time because I wanted performance. You know, I wanted to be able to pick up when I wanted to, you know, it's a guy thing. Well, that was the reason why I had the rough ride, was because of sport mode. I didn't realize it made that much of a difference to put it in touring mode. So I'm going to put it in sport mode. And that's all it took. And I went, oh my gosh, that whole time. And here I was inquiring about replacing the suspension. And like, God, what am I doing? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm in a parking lot, so I don't want to do it here in the parking lot. Sorry, I'm gonna pull out of the driveway and then I'll get on it here. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Even it looks like the rain is. I don't have rain coming in the car, and I got my interior lights on, so I can barely see. All right, and there's traffic. Hold on. Again, this is an SUV or one of those. What do you call them? Okay, wait. Oh, yeah. Wait. I'm going to come to a slow down here and do it again here from a stop. See if I can get it from a stop. Okay, you guys are, there's a car coming. No, it's not. Okay, here we go from a standstill. Let's hear. Barely. Oh, I got a chirp on second gear. Did you hear that? Oh, okay, I'm going to stop or I'm going to get a ticket. I haven't said that in a while. A second gear chirp. With front wheel drive. Oh my gosh, come on. Raise the back windows. There we go. What did I miss? What are your comments saying? Oh, shame on the Cadillac reps for not realizing that when you described it. I know. They were just reputation. And unfortunately, the service guys, I don't know, maybe they were busy or or something, but they didn't give me the time of day. And I was like, okay, I realized that early on. Diagnostics, and I'm like, no, I don't need that. Thank you. I'll take care of it. Appreciate it. And I left. All right, green light. Oh, here, we'll. Oh my gosh, that's because of the rain. But when I purchased this thing, I was looking for I'm stuttering. I was curious, do they make a turbocharged SUV? So I plugged that in my search, and I got what's not the Mitsubishi's competitor. What the heck is this car doing? Oh, he's turning left too. And I guess it's right next to where I'm turning left. Yes, it is. Okay. It's like the oncoming car is pulling right next to my window and stopping. I'm thinking, what the heck is he doing? He's turning left at a street adjacent to my left turn. And I found a couple of turbocharged, and then Cadillac popped up, and I went, really? Cadillac makes a turbocharged SUV? What is that? So I looked, and it's the XT4 and the XT5. And the price that was listed seemed like there was missing some fine print. It's like, nah, Cadillac can't be selling a car for $19,999. All Cadillacs are 30 grand and above. And sure enough, this thing was listed for 19,000, and that was in my budget for a monthly payment. And so I went ahead and went down and looked at it, and it's like, wow. And I could put a tow, and it needed to be able to have a tow package put on it, and because I'm towing a trailer. And so I did, and I got the towing hitch, and now I can pull my kayak trailer around. And the car I had before this I put a tow package on that too, so I needed ability to tow. I got rid of that one. It was like 20 years old. It was a Lexus RX 350, 2008. And speaking of rattle bucket, that thing, I was spending thousands of dollars trying to keep up with the suspension issues and bushings and so on. And I gotta be able to see. I gotta move this for a second. I'm gonna go out of the camera here for a second, or at least hold on. I gotta move this thing so I can see the backup camera and not run this thing into my trailer. Am I in reverse still? Yes. Okay, let me turn off the, what is that rattle? Why is that doing that? What is that? Hold on a second, guys. I got a weird sound. It sounds like my rear wiper's on, but it's not. It's off. That's the sound I'm getting, and it's off. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I gotta watch this hitch and not drive this hitch. Where is it? Okay, there. Oh, no, I'm not lined up. Okay, that's why. Stand by. There, I'm hearing ooh, gosh, Gary, pay attention. I almost drove the trailer into my bumper. All right, I'm very distracted. I don't know why. I'm hearing that sound and it's driving me nuts. The wiper isn't on in the rear, but I hear it. Why is it continuing to operate? I don't know why. Okay, hold on. Almost got it lined up. Second. Almost, I did. I've already done it twice. I've driven the trailer hitch into my bumper, and it marred the rubber down below, the little skirt underneath. Okay, you hear the beeping? I'm getting close here. You know what? That's good enough. Right there. Good enough. Good enough for government work. Okay. So why is my rear wiper continuing to, it sounds like the mechanism is spinning. You know what? It was only doing it when I was in reverse. That's weird. When I was in reverse, that rear wiper sounded like it was engaging and making that was weird. Okay. All right, I'm home and I'm in park and I got the car off and I'm gonna put in the sunshade up. I went fishing the other day, so I had to uncover it. I usually keep this thing covered and I drive the heck out of my wife's car. Put all the miles on my wife's car. And this thing just stays covered in the driveway. Well, when I go fishing, of course, I have to uncover it. Well, once I uncover it, then it takes a while for me to get that cover back on it because now I'm using it. And in order to cover it, I got to get it dust-free and cleaned, and in the car wash and before I put the cover on so I don't scratch it all up. And now it's been out in the elements, so I can't put the cover on until further notice. So. All right. Oh, I wrecked my car burning rubber, Patricia. Oh, okay. I was trying to while I was driving and I didn't quite read that right, but she was more like a cat rather than a gorilla. Let's see here. Like Doc, who's apparently about to get his ass beat. I'm reading your comments here. Never assume a death grip on the wheel. Just relax, brother, and you'll have it. Patricia, I've come to the conclusion that Jimmy's a bad influence on you. And Jimmy's like my older brother. Let's see here. Drive more and go on a couple road trips and just relax. You shouldn't worry about something you have no control over. I've driven dangerous oil field trucks. Just relax and drive like a pro. You get pulled over. We don't know you. There you go. Right. Shame on the Cadillac. Oh, I already read that part. Okay. Let me go back a little more here and see what I missed. This one's for you, Jimmy. Listen to you, Doc. You're an honorary Fast and Furious participant. I'm glad you guys are having fun on my behalf. I'm only 27. I'm still about anxious about driving. I just like having to think for other people on the street. Yeah. That's defensive driving, though. It's okay. That's good. You never know what madman's around the corner. Exactly. I drove a Citroen. Gosh, I haven't said that. You haven't seen one of those cars in a long time over here. A Citroen. Scare the heck of him driving like a Camaro. Oh, okay. I'm reading back now. I'm caught up. That was back to the RX-7 comment. Buenos noches, Doc. I know. Are you leaving me now that I'm going in the house? You don't want to hear what I'm about to encounter. I love it. Patricia, you're the woman. Jimmy, you the man. And sorry. Who's the other? Gecko. Is it Gecko or is it Geeko? I think you spelled it Geeko, right? Geeko channel. Yeah. You can't tell your adrenaline wasn't up. Oh, you can't. When you tried to burn rubber. Probably was. You know, a known fact that our heart rate would go up about 20 beats per minute whenever we put on the sirens, the lights and sirens. It's just a physiological effect that it has. We were even given earphones, although we seldom used them, but they were like, I think, part of the OSHA requirements that we had access to earphones when we would drive lights and sirens. But it's true. It's just physiologically, you can't stop that. You know, that loud noise automatically drives your heart rate up. But you learn to control that after a while. I mean, didn't let it affect you. Trying to deal with the general public, you know, pulling to the left instead of pulling to the right or whatever, you know, that's part of driving. Emergency driving. Trying to clear yourself through an intersection, that was hair-raising. You know, that was relying on your partner a lot. You know, he's the navigator and you're the driver. You're trying to clear yourself, but he's clearing your right and I'm clearing my left. And relying on, you know, trusting him that it is clear when he says it's clear. Like, I'm going. Is it clear? You're good. You're good. All right, Patricia. And Jimmy, Geeko, anybody else that's out there. I am out of here. As you were, guys. See you next time. Thank you. Thank you.